Hi, I'm David Laud, and I'm the founder of HReSource. You might ask yourself, what is HReSource? Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, and there's going to be a video shortly that look cheesy, but it'll give you a bit of insight into what we're all about. But the first thing I want to say is, we've been spending quite a bit of time online, haven't we? And I've come across individuals that have been saying and suggesting that maybe we should be spending on this platform or that platform. And I don't know what your experience has been, if it's been anything like mine, but I have been incredibly disappointed with the way in which some of these platforms have stepped up to the mark in the face of pandemics and challenging times for us. As part of the reason of the drive for HR Resource was to find an alternative. And we will explain that in the video that's up and coming. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a work in progress. It's not the finished article. I'm not pretending that it is an equivalent of your favorite business networking platform, social media site, or any other you might want to think of. It is simply an opportunity for like-minded individuals to get together, collaborate, share information, and hopefully have some fun in the meantime. So I'm now going to share with you a brief video that gives you an insight into what HReSource is all about and what we're aiming to deliver. So as I said, I'm David Laud, and this is going to be a brief introduction to HReSource. Now you've got a big slide in front of you, but honestly, this is not going to be death by PowerPoint. So the community started in March 2020, and there's a reason for that. Our lives have started to change. And I felt that we needed something that might actually provide an antidote to some of those more negative aspects that we might have been encountering online. I had a relatively modest community that was sitting on a particular platform, of which I won't name, but it's used primarily by business professionals for sharing their CVs. And the idea for that was that we would have a community that was focused on people who were in business, who own businesses and were responsible for managing people. And it started off quite well, but the more I observed latterly, the more I realized that people actually weren't using it, and it was more of a tumbleweed moment. So I thought, well, if it's not working, maybe there's a better and a different way. So I created a platform outside of that social media site and introduced my network to it. And so things began. This is a little bit of a journey into what we've been doing. I've created a website which can tell you an awful lot more about it and give you some ideas as to how to join us. A bit more about that later. As a membership, which is what you'll sign up to, it's completely free. There's no charge for this. We have articles of interest. We share news. We've got our own podcast. We have webinars that we are actively involved with. We've got a platform that we've linked with to be able to offer a quite dynamic opportunity to share information from within the membership to a wider audience. And ultimately, it is a site whereby you, as a member, can decide how you want to participate. You can be sitting in the audience and watching things happen, or you can be up on stage and delivering, or a mixture of both. I'm happy either way, as long as you're happy, because ultimately, I don't want you to be spammed, sold something you don't want, or given an opportunity to perhaps be concerned about your data being stolen. All these things we know have happened on other sites. So, in terms of the resources that are available, we have a number. I've mentioned some already. And in addition, actually, we've got a library. The library is, again, it's the work in progress, but we are building a catalogue of useful information and guides that our members can easily download in PDF format. These are available off the website, and we're going to be building this as we go. And obviously that is dependent upon content generators. That could be you. So what I'm looking for are people who are interested in taking part in a collaborative exercise, working with others, networking, not selling, not getting into the hard sell, but want to know about people, learn from them, and share information and insights of their own. Now, one thing that I have thoroughly enjoyed in this process, in June, 3 months after the actual launch of the HReSource initiative, I came up with the idea of having a podcast. partly to solve my own problems with dealing with this. And that doesn't mean my face, but that's a whole new story. But actually dealing with Zooms and Teams meetings, something I discovered that I actually wasn't particularly keen on. And I thought, well, how am I going to be able to manage that? I need to expose myself to a different event every month or every so often, meet new people, and actually the platform was crying out for that type of content. So we created the podcast, and it's been fantastic. I have really enjoyed myself. There are plenty of watchers, which has surprised me. I'm constantly amazed at the number of people who are tuning in and downloading our podcast. Within 3 months, I think it was in September, it had made the Apple Top 50, which just blew my socks off. And quite honestly, it's all down to the guests. I've been very lucky, very fortunate. You can see on screen there are some absolutely unbelievable talent, experienced individuals, entertaining individuals in their own right. And you can freely access this information on all the major platforms. So if it's iTunes, if it's Spotify, Google, Amazon, you name it, that's where we are. But we publish out of a platform called Anchor. The more recent and notable developments with this has been a move towards a version that we're going to share with you later, the sort of more video element of it. But I do think podcasting has a place, certainly for the foreseeable future, in what we're doing. Now, what I've also loved is I've discovered a new passion for reading again, because I'm getting to read all of the, there's Sahar Hashimi, and I've been reading her books, I should say. And indeed, Alistair Thompson's book on business planning, and the wonderful book by Rory Kettle-Jones on Always On, the launch of the iPhone and everything that happened since. Absolutely superb guest, and I've got a picture there that'll make you laugh. I'm going to share with you shortly. And Dame Stephanie Shirley, who you can see is achieving the unimaginable. This is actually a collection of all of her talks, including TED Talks and keynote speeches. What a fabulous lady. What a story. She's also got a book called Let It Go. And I let It Go because somebody in the family is currently reading it. It's very popular. I would thoroughly recommend that book. It is such a story. As you can tell, I've enjoyed myself. But because of that, that is an opportunity that is open to you too, either to come on as a guest or take some of the pressure off me. You host one. You take the opportunity to interview somebody on our podcast. I'm open to that. Now, I mentioned the TV, and as far as the TV side of things is concerned, yeah, it's probably not a surprise. We're repurposing the content from the podcast because we record it using Zoom. And the guest that I'm showing here it's Rory Kettle-Jones, at a moment where he was explaining his experience of dealing with a guest that he had, or sorry, an interview that he was conducting with the wonderful Sir Tim Berners-Lee, and how the man's mind works. And it reminded me of a few people that I've known at times who've been fabulous entrepreneurs and very gifted individuals with very bright minds. And he was talking about the fact that he was just thinking about one thing, moving on to another. And I'm there, I'm not supposed to be doing my crab impression, although it does look like it. I was talking about all the tabs being open in his mind at the same time. There are moments in these podcasts that are, maybe you had to be there, but there are moments in these podcasts that are really, truly great. And I think the feedback we're getting so far has been very positive indeed. And the video adds a whole new dimension. But as I said to you now, I think for the third time, it is a work in progress. So I'm not suggesting this is the final thing. I'm not suggesting this is always going to have to be in this format. Anybody who's an expert in the field of video production, YouTube channels, and podcasting, no doubt will have their say on how this is set up. But for me, the most important thing is the user experience, the member experience, and the guest experience. And so far, it's all going very well from that point of view. As you can see, there's a way that we're presenting it on the podcasts on the YouTube channel here. Can share with you a couple more of our guests that we've had. Diane Udell was with me at one of the very first podcasts that I did, and that's also available as a YouTube video. What a tremendous guest she was as a psychotherapist now and has developed. And Amanda Thompson, who has created an alcohol-free sparkling Chardonnay and Rosé, and a brand line called Naughty. What a fabulous couple of women we had there, and just, I suppose, great examples of the quality of content that we have to share. For members, you get to see this on an exclusive basis first, and then it gets released to a wider audience. So that's, again, another advantage of membership. I mentioned webinars. Here you can see me having a chat with the wonderful Claire Davey. Claire is a cyber security specialist and consultant. And this was a webinar that we did at the back end of last year, which helped to share some of the information that we would need to be wary of for 2021. Tell you what, she was pretty much spot on. Obviously, what else we can do with the content is we can share it around, and the events section of the website provides an environment where we can share. What I should say is there is an app specifically designed for the membership community, and in that app you will be able to access all sorts of topics, platforms, areas within HReSource that would suit you. So you can decide if you're particularly interested in the law, if you're particularly interested in training, recruitment, if you're interested in a specific area of business. If there isn't there already, if it's not being focused, let us know and we can develop it for you. But the event section ultimately provides you with that sort of holding bay where you can access all of this content in a very easy to digest manner. And with the webinars, as we've mentioned before, the opportunity for not only our own content, as Claire Davies was born out of a member with a suggestion for things that we need to be aware of, but that same opportunity exists for those who are members, corporate members, and we have a leading member in Innes Clark from a firm based in Edinburgh, but national, which is Morton Fraser, and they have produced a number of content opportunities, webinars, which we're able to share exclusively again, initially through the platform. So what happens next? From my perspective, I want to engage with as many people who have a similar mindset and outlook and belief that the platforms that are currently around us are not serving our purpose and not fit for purpose, and that want to find another way to engage and collaborate and share and help to take us from this rather difficult period we've been going through, to say the least, into a much more positive, structured, creative, collaborative way of working, because I think that's the way forward. And as a platform, I'm hoping that this can grow globally. We do have some international partners on board. We've been approached by platforms that are beyond sort of Spotify and iTunes, and training platforms as well, who've taken an interest in our content as it's being created. So there's a bit of a buzz being created, and it would be great if you could be in on that journey with us. So all I would say is come and join the conversation, because we'd love to have you on board.